Zhang Wei Li is furious.
He's upset. 100%.
Oh, how good does it feel, baby? Mets going to the NLCS. You gotta love it. Welcome in, everyone, to a brand new edition of Axe Kick Picks, episode 145. Today is Friday, October 11th, 2024. And Joe, our team is just 8 wins away. How the fuck you doing?
Yeah, first to lucky number 8. I'm feeling great, man. I'm excited for this weekend. I'm excited for the week to come. It's just a very important month on the calendar year with all the sports taking place and, combat sports never ending, never having an off season. I got a little bit of tidbits before we get into the rest of the show. It's the 50th event anniversary of Karate Combat this weekend. KC 50 takes place tonight in Salt Lake City. And there actually are odds for the event. So I don't have anything for you guys, but hop on that if you want to get a part of the action. And after seeing a number of kickboxing alumni join the UFC ranks through the Dana White Contender Series, an interesting watch for you may be Glory 96, which is on tomorrow in Rotterdam, Netherlands. You could stream it through like Bally and Stadium. I haven't really heard of those apps, but
Bally Sports I've heard of. It's kind of like
they take care of the Atlanta Braves, don't they?
Yeah, and Cincinnati Reds. It's like I don't want to say mid-Atlantic. It's what do you call it? Central Midwest. There you go. Midwest.
Midwest. It's probably got like a certain like parallel the longitude. They're taking care of the 44th line.
But no, I appreciate it. There's a lot of events this whole week. You mentioned a few that I haven't even heard of. Obviously, we got UFC Vegas 98. We got the huge boxing going down in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have Octagon, Octagon 62 in Germany and Frankfurt. We got BKFC pay-per-view in Spain. That's going to be a huge one as well. Joe, we're locked and loaded, kid. Like I said, huge month, birthday month as well. Shout out all the Scorpions out there.
You get that right.
Yeah, water signs, baby. Those are the way to go. But Joe, like you said, we got a great episode for you. We'll recap the Dana White Contender Series. Just 1 week left. Week 10, we'll touch on that. UFC Vegas 98 back at the Apex. Huge card going down at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia between Arthur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Obviously, we'll touch on our girl Sky Nicholson as well. Like I said, pay-per-view in for BKFC. We'll see if Conor McGregor is there in Spain tomorrow.
I'd be surprised if he didn't show up. That
I would
everywhere.
Especially since he's not in camp. He has to be there. He's the face of the company.
Hey, if I had a private jet, I'd be flying everywhere, and I'd be driving a Lamborghini yacht as fast as I could on the water.
Everyone was criticizing Jerry Jones from the Cowboys, saying, "Oh, he landed his helicopter on the field." If I was a billionaire, I would too. Damn right, I fucking would. We'll end it in Octagon 62. That's another pay-per-view tomorrow in Frankfurt, Germany at 12 o'clock. So we're locked and loaded from early afternoon to all the way Saturday night. We are locked and loaded. But Joe, I do want to start another 5-0 week for you. I mean, Joe, it's actually getting insane.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes
the money. I mean, what do you have to say? That's 10-0 right now from week 7 and week 8.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been
yeah.
seeing the board really well. I've been putting in the time to research these fighters and not only look at their resumes, because I'm just very fortunate to be able to recall a lot of athletes throughout the years and be able to just say a name, look at the resume, and remember that fight. But for the newcomers, I don't have a chance to see them, so I got to look back at the footage. I got to look at what I see in their previous fights, and based off their competition, what the resume says, that's where I'm getting my positions off of. Like the one that really stood out to me was the Rocha fight versus Mario Pinto this past Tuesday. And just the discrepancy of striking levels. Like Mario Pinto was on a whole nother level. So if you didn't see him going through with the KO TKO, I don't know what to tell you. All it takes is a little bit of time, a little bit of studying, and I'm sure you guys will be able to find your answer for these fighters as well.
Yeah, four of the five winners got UFC contracts. Unfortunately, Sean Gauchi, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think against Anthony Drillich, and the flyweights they're hard to finish. The lighter weights, less power, speed kills, of course, but it's just more often or not that you see these lighter guys go to the judges' scorecards, and that's why I think unfortunately for the two, they put on a great fight. You don't get to the UFC through Dana White Contender Series with a decision victory, unless it was like extremely dominant with like a crazy display of striking or wrestling. Then he might take a caution a look at it. But other than that, it seems like you need a finish.
And, unless, like you said, we're getting 10-8 rounds or something like that, where it's just pure dominance, he's not going to put you in, even if Sean Shelby or Hunter Campbell is advocating on your behalf. He said it himself sometimes. Listen, he gets the last call. So he's the boss man. But if you finish him, like your guy, Mario Pinto, and a lot of them were early finishes. First round, second round, Cody Steele. I know you had that one going to decision, but still got him right. The American moves to 7-0.
Yeah, he's looked impressive. Having all the jiu-jitsu in his background and then being able to put someone away like that. I mean, he just seems to round out his game, and he made up for losing his last chance when he was supposed to make an appearance on the show, I think a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he does win as a big minus 270 favorite as well, but I mean, he could be a contender at lightweight. I'm glad they gave him a contract. And like you said, that body shot just kind of put Blair down in the second round. But shout out all the winners. Updated record going into the last week, week 10. What do we got?
Brother, I mean, looking at this record, I can't really believe it. But on the year, up to date, I am 27-14 on the Dana White Contender Series. This past weekend, getting 10 picks in a row, going 10-0, and the week before really helped out that percentage. We're in the green indefinitely. I don't think that even going 0-5 would do anything to us at this moment. But, we're hoping to get you another 5 winners. Seeing Alex Pereira advocate for Vakhitov in the main event, he got that first round finish. We got another threat, and that's why I thought to mention the Glory Kickboxing event taking place this weekend. So a lot of killers joining the ranks of the UFC.
And that's just a credit to you and all the work you do, putting in the work, watching the film, and, to make picks consistently every week. And I do ask you to make these picks. So going in and putting the work in just says a lot on a lot of fighters who sometimes we've seen before, but most of them we haven't. And to go be 27-14 straight up through 9 weeks is extremely impressive. So credit to you and all the work you have done, kid. Hey, we're just 1 week away. We do have a rematch in week 10 as well, between our was it Oklahoma State wrestler, or who was it?
It might be someone else.
It was Nick Piccini, or what was his name?
Yeah, he might be getting it back. He very well might be getting it back in week 10. Here we go. See if I recognize any of the names. Nick Piccinini. He's making his return. He's still undefeated. He got that victory, but it was a close one. And so hopefully, with his second chance here, if he gets a finish or puts on a dominant performance, Dana White gives him a contract.
They're running it back, correct?
No, it's a different opponent. I don't know if his other one. No, this is what was. No, it was rescheduled for Jack Duffy. Yeah. And Geraldo Souza's getting a new opponent because Wes Schultz pulled out. He was also getting another chance to join the UFC, but Nick Klein steps in. There
we go. We'll be locked and loaded for that on Monday. But, kid, before we get into all of our picks, like I said, we got a huge slate for you this weekend. Let me tell you guys about our sponsor, Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. There's no wonder why. Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV. Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of drink, just like how we like our lives. Whether it's Huckleberry playing a round of golf with the boys or a new flavor coconut watching UFC Vegas 98, it doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with that Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Kick Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. All right, kid, we are back at the Apex. We come from Salt Lake City, Utah. We'll go down a little bit to Vegas. Not the best start time, 4 p.m. Eastern start time, but it will lead us right into it from boxing, Octagon, BKFC as well. So prelim start at 4 o'clock. Main card starts at 7 on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Real quick, though, 3 fighters missed weight. Josh Frem, 189. He's 3 pounds over the middleweight limit. Dan Agriata, 138.5, 2.5 pounds over the bantamweight limit. And Jared Gordon, 172.5. He is a pound over the weight limit. Unfortunate, kid. I mean, real quick, before we get into these fights, this isn't the first. This won't be the last time. But there needs to be a bigger punishment instead of the 20 to 30% that you get out of your purse that that your opponent gets, because there's no real reprimandations or repercussions for.
Yeah, there's no real repercussion. There's no incentive to make the weight, or like you said, a consequence for not. So
how do we move forward for this?
It's either they go away with the weight classes, as argued by Joe Rogan, a lot of other people, and I also am on that, because knowing how brain injuries work through like football, we've experienced our fair share, and then any strike, anything that's head trauma related. I do think that these fighters need to be as hydrated as they possibly can be to not risk life-threatening injuries. So I think it's either you do away with it entirely, or like you said, make it as strict as they need to, so that people actually abide and not give themselves advantage. Because if you look historically, percentage-wise, those who foul in a fight or miss weight tend to come out on top, tend to have an advantage.
And it's kind of unfortunate, because you sign a contract and you don't make the weight. It's kind of disrespectful to the sport and to your opponent.
I think 20% of a purse is worth the advantage for a win.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, 100% they would take.
And you even have their trainers or nutritionists or your head coach to be like, listen, we're going to stop cutting weight at this point. Like, we'll just suffer the 20%. You're good. So it's very unfortunate. But yeah, this one was a lot, I felt like, before, because we've had a couple cards where everyone has made weight.
Yeah, they've been holding themselves accountable, been very professional. So it's just unlike those fighters to miss that weight. But here we are, man. UFC Vegas 98. This event. One more event before we get to the most important card of the year, UFC Vegas 100. So, with everything going on, as D-Rock mentioned, with boxing, bare knuckle, other organizational mixed martial arts, I mean, probably not going to get involved with the first 4 fights. You got Clayton Carper taking on Lucas Rocha in the flyweight division. Bantamweights has, as you mentioned, Dan Argueta taking on Cody Haddon. We had the strawweights, women's strawweights. Corey McKenna returns to take on Julia Palastri. And then Junior Tafa versus Sean Sharaf at the heavyweight division. Obviously, you could probably think Junior Tafa is going to get a knockout, but I just wanted to stay away. I did not get the time to really look into Sean Sharaf. But if anything would say, Junior Tafa would probably get a knockout or something, first round, walk off, something along those lines. So getting involved in the 5th fight of the evening, which is in the welterweight division, and 2 very fan-favorited names. Nico Hybrid Price is a plus 310 here against Themba the Answer Garimbo at minus 350. And Nico Price, man, he always brings it. He's he's a fighter's fighter. Everyone appreciates his do or die attitude and mentality. He's, all gas and no brakes in there, but sometimes that can come back to bite you, especially with Themba Garimbo, who does have the great counter wrestling we've seen in the past couple performances. He's very streaking right now. I think he has a lot of momentum, and I do think that he's going to have a little bit of a reach advantage in there. So, like I said, with the reach advantage on the feet and the possible grappling advantage, I think Themba Garimbo has the advantage, and he's rightfully the favorite on the card. So I'll take him straight up, because I don't know which way to take this guy. I just think he's the right side. So let's go ahead to the featherweight division, where Jonathan Pierce here is a minus 170 favorite, taking on Pat Sabatini at plus 160. Pat Sabatini's had a couple rough outings as of late. Jonathan Pierce came up short in his last 2, so someone needs a win here. And, Pat Sabatini, he's lost to the who's who of the competition, and it's only via like ground and pound. It seems that if someone else has good jiu-jitsu and has great scrambling, and they're really good at those finishes, they have an advantage in this one. And honestly, that's what you see with Jonathan Pierce. JSP has all the scrambling ability, great gas tank cardio. I mean, he can go the distance. He could finish this inside the distance. I like JSP to beat Pat Sabatini. That's a hard win for him in his career, but it would mean a lot. So I'm going to take with the meaning of where he's at and where he can go, and take JSP. I like Jonathan Pierce with his ways to win. Give me the minus 170 money line for him.
Real quick, Joe, I had 2 leans before we get to the main card. I'm taking Garimbo inside the distance at plus 110. Wow. And he's a big favorite for a reason. I think he wants it more, get out of that first round. And we've seen Nico Price be a little chinny at times. So I like Garimbo here to get the finish. I agree with you there.
He does get caught.
Yeah, so even double chance it as well. You could double chance it inside. That's why I said just inside the distance. I think he could get away, finish this any fight. I like GSP as well. A little chalky. That's why it was a lean. Maybe you want to put him in a parlay, but minus 168, minus 170. Nice. I do think GSP is the right price.
Yeah, so we're on the same side with the first 2 fights, and great minds think alike. So let's get on to this next fight. We have an emergence of a new flyweight fighter in Ramazan Tarimov. He's minus 325 against a veteran in CJ Vergara at plus 300. Unfortunately for the veteran, I do think that, this dude is a killer. Coming from Tajikistan, I believe. I mean, these guys that are coming over are just absolute savants with the wrestling, and they seem to have power in their hands. So I think you got to take Turmoil on here. I know it's minus 325. I don't know what to make of the guy just yet, but I just think he'll get the job done. So with the, the two heavy favorites, as he mentioned, the leans, maybe you want to incorporate with some of the heavy favorites that I have for today. And that's how you can get a parlay going. So with that being said, let's move along to the middleweight division. One of the fighters that missed weight, Josh Fremd, is plus 140, taking on Abdul Razak Al Hassan at minus 155. I think you could lean Al Hassan with his knockout capability. Every time he gets a victory, he's knocking his opponent out. He's lost via submission plenty of times and decision, but anytime he's winning, he's getting that knockout. So I think for you guys want to take a side, maybe lean him. But that worried me seeing Josh Fremd miss weight. The percentages now swing kind of towards him, and he does have good submissions. And like I said, Al Hassan's gotten caught a bunch of times. So what I like in this fight is the underhound. I like the under 1.5 rounds at plus 130. I actually think that this fight won't even, if it gets to the second round, if you like the fight to start round 2, could be a profitable bet for you. But I just don't see that these guys are going to make this go to the judges. This is going to be a fight that either going to end in a submission for Fremd or a KO TKO for Al Hassan. So a clash of styles. I'm taking the under 1.5 rounds at plus 130.
Joe, I saw Al Hassan in Denver, and he was just beating the shit out of Cody Brundage.
Massive, too.
Besides the illegal strike behind the head.
Yeah.
Seemed like Cody Brundage quit. I don't want to speculate, but it seemed like he kind of quit. I just think that's the way Josh Fremd would do as well. Minus 110 for Al Hassan to get the knockout, I do like as well. I just think his power is just too tough to overcome. The weight miss does worry me a little bit, why I stayed away ultimately from the fight, but Al Hassan should win. This is a good bounce back spot for him.
He's got so much power. I've seen people put up their guards, and he just power through it with a swinging blow. Yeah. It's just crazy, the power he possesses.
That was the first fight of the main card, by the way.
Okay. Hey, and now we're on to the next fight. And man, I think we're in for a treat in the welterweight division. D-Rod's back. Daniel Rodriguez is minus 210 against the great white Alex Morono at plus 180. D-Rock, I'll pass it off to you. I think you're excited to get into this fight. Who you taking?
Yeah, D-Rod, big favorite here. And, I like him. I like the over 1.5 rounds, but I'm going to combine it. I'm going to take D-Rod plus the over 1.5 rounds for a minus 130 favorite. This is a fight that I feel like should stay on the feet. D-Rod is the better striker, more crisp striker. And the last few performances, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, feels like the Great White has been on the decline. He hasn't looked good. Even the cardio has declined as well from the Great White as well. So I'm going to take D-Rod here. I'm going to combine it. You can do that on certain books. To get the number down, I took D-Rod money line, and I combined it with the over at 1.5 rounds. Just a different way to play this fight for a minus 130, a very playable number.
I love that, bro. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go with D-Rod, man. Alex Morono, I'm a big fan of the guy. I love him. I love everything he stands for. Being a leader at his gym, being just the gamer that he is. Every time he gets into the octagon, you just don't know what to expect from him because he really does everything he can to win. But D-Rod is who I like in this. I just think his boxing's more crisp. I think he's going to find his combinations in there. What worries me is the over. Morono is very tough, and he doesn't tend to get finished. But it's just with those boxing combinations, if they add up, man, he could put Morono out of there. So with that being said, that's why I would take Daniel Rodriguez straight up. But I do like your play there. Getting some value out of D-Rod by combining the two is very smart. And it was only the 1.5 rounds, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just way safer than 2.5 because, like I said, if that finish comes, you have a lot of rounds, a lot of time in those rounds to worry about. So I'm just going to play it safe and take D-Rod on the money line. I'm cooking a parlay now that I see it, so I'm going to get it for you when we're all said and done. But let's move on to the next fight real quickly. It's a lightweight division fight between Grant Dawson. He's back. He's minus 400 after getting that knockout from King Green. I think I've seen him on a commercial as of late. I don't know what he's been doing, but I guess he's been at work making some money and doing what he has to do. And he's taking on another returning opponent, Rafa Garcia. Gifted Garcia is back as well. And this Mexican athlete is, I think, the right side here as a dog at plus 340. I think there's great value. He has great submissions, never lost by submission in his career. Majority of his wins have come via submission. So you can tell he's a great scrambler, great grappler, great jiu-jitsu. And that's Grant Dawson's way to win. His path to victory would be to initiate the takedowns and try to win with his wrestling. If Rafa Garcia can counter wrestle and maybe put him on his back, I think he has the advantage not only there, but on the feet. Definitely a better striker. So tremendous value here in Rafa Garcia. Give me the plus 340 money line here. Let's make some money in this fight. I love to see it. So let's go on to the featured bout of UFC Vegas 98. And it's in the welterweight division between Chidi and Njokuani at minus 160, taking on Jared Night Train Gooden at plus 150. And I'll hand it back over to you, D-Rock. Who are you taking?
Yeah, give me Chidi and Njokuani straight up. I got him on minus 170. Let me see right now. He is, minus 166, minus 170. So shop around, but I do like Chidi. Another fight where I just think this fight is going to stay on the feet, and Chidi is the much better striker, much better kickboxer. And Jared Gordon missed weight. He likes to get wild as well, which worries me. And unless he gets this fight to the ground, which I don't think he'll be able to, I just don't see how he gets the win here. So, yeah, I'm going to take Chidi and Njokuani straight up, minus 170, but there are minus 166 out there, so shop around.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? In that fight, Jared Gooden has gotten caught a bunch in the first round. He's a tough guy. He's missed the weight, so, percentages swing, of course, but Chidi and Njokuani, he does have that touch of death, man. First round knockout is live if you're trying to squeeze it down some more, so just see if you're willing enough to do it. I thought to mention he might get the first round knockout.
And please send it right back to me for the co-main.
Because I know what's crazy is I was waiting, and it's every time we lead up to a Iron Turtle fight week, you hear D-Rock going off. It's Iron Turtle fight. I haven't heard it yet, so it's all been leading up to this co-main event.
This should be the headliner. Let's be honest.
This is the people's main event. Let's be real. Brad Tavares is such an OG veteran. You got to pass the Brad Tavares test to be legitimate in this weight class. He's plus 175 as a dog, and your boy, Young Park, minus 185 favorite. Are you taking the Iron Turtle?
I've been dying to say it, but the Iron Turtle is back, baby. I mean, how do you not love this guy? Quietly, Joe, 7-2 in his last 9 fights. He's durable. He's got good cardio, could get the fight to the ground. And Brad Tavares is good. You got to pass that test, like you mentioned, but not a major threat. Let's be honest. I don't think he's a major threat. I don't think anyone is going to get put away in this fight. Love the over 2.5 rounds, but I think ultimately it will go bell to bell. Fight goes to distance is my play. And if you're leaning aside, I am going to take the Iron Turtle via decision. That is another play that I like, but I'll give you the odds right now. Fight to go the distance, minus 200. So you might want to put him in a parlay, but Iron Turtle to win by decision is plus 140. Love that.
Yeah, man. I just see when Brad Tavares fights a certain level of competition, and that's why I'm saying it's such a test. He doesn't, come out victorious. So this is Iron Turtle's chance to shine here to show that he's in the upper echelon of fighters in the middleweight division. I got to go with the Iron Turtle heel just based off his opportunity to be something. Brad Tavares has been there. He had his chance, and now he's a test for a lot of people. The knockout losses that I've seen, he barely beat Weidman as well. If it wasn't for those leg kicks, especially Weidman coming right off of injury, decided to take a fight with Brad Tavares, I think Brad Tavares would lose if he fought Chris Weidman now. So I could be 4 losses in a row for him. It probably could be 5 here with the Iron Turtle. I like you said, a sneaky 7-2 record. Look who he's lost to. It's really good fighters. Like barely lost to Andre Muniz. That's something that I had picked and burnt you on there. You're like, how could you pick against the Iron Turtle? And I'm sorry I did there, but man, he loves his rear naked chokes. He could find a way to a submission. He could find his way to TKO you, and he's gone to distance a ton of times. With Brad Tavares' durability and with his ability to go to distance for the Iron Turtle, I like the decision play. I think you'd probably do that prop. Take Young Park, the Iron Turtle via decision. I think I'm lock and step with you right there. So we've made it to the main event, and it'll take place in the flyweight division. Brandon Royval, man, he is defending his spot more than ever at this point in time. He's plus 250 on the odds against Tatsuro Taira at minus 275. I'm so shocked to see the odds the way they are here. Like, There's no way that, based off precedent, Royval fighting for the title, that Tyra, a surging guy, granted, should be minus 275. I just don't think that's fair for Royval because I do think there's tremendous value in him at plus 250. But as you see, there's a little trend for this weekend. I have been taking the surging opponents as compared to the ones that have, kind of been stagnant or have had a little couple of losses. And Royval had one loss, and he's been on the shelf for a little bit. So based off momentum, and momentum's everything. We led the show off with the Mets. I'm going to end UFC Vegas 98 with my pick being Tatsuro Taira based off momentum and his ability to grapple better than pretty much everyone in the division. I thought that was going to be something that Muhammad Makayev would possess, but he is no longer even with the promotion. Tatsuro Taira is that guy. He's the next guy to challenge for the title. He needs a win over Brandon Royval to squeeze those odds down. I'd probably take him via submission. I think he'll shock a lot of us, and it'll prove no doubt that he deserves that next title shot. But before I hand it off to you, D-Rock, I built my live parlay. It's a 4-legger. It's Tatsuro Taira, it's D-Rod, it's Temerov, and it's Garimbo. All that 4-leg live parlay gives you odds of plus 238.
Yeah, and if you want to take Tatsuro Taira to win via submission, me, is plus 135.
I love it.
Which is probably the favorite. I love that, man. The only pushback I would say is I do agree with the odds. I like Royval. I think he's live in any matchup. He's in every fight. You got to give him credit. I mean, whenever you think he's out, he's not. He's always moving forward. He doesn't get tired. But sometimes I think he thinks he's a little more comfortable than he is with his jiu-jitsu. You saw it with the Brendan Moreno fight, and he got tapped out. So I'll say that. But Taira, I think he should be this big of a favorite. I think he's the better fighter everywhere. I think he matches Royval everywhere, on the feet, on the ground. Joe, I think, and I don't say this lightly, but I think we're looking at a future champ here in Tatsuro Taira. I like Royval, but he just gets a little wild for me. And
that's a risk. That's a wild card.
Yeah, and I like him. I really do. And I think it's like my old boss used to say, when you start the sentence saying he's a nice guy, he's usually bad at his job. But Royval's not bad at his job. I just think he's a little wild, and I think it's a risk taking him at some times. He puts himself in bad positions, and I don't think he could do that with a guy like Tatsuro Taira. So I agree. I think he could jump on his back, get his neck. I do think a submission is live. I like Tatsuro Taira here. Not going to lay him on the money line. He's a huge favorite, like Joe and I mentioned, but I think he gets the job done. I took him inside the distance at plus 100 to get even money. I like that play. I don't know if he knocks him out, maybe ground and pound, but I do like the submission at plus 140 as well.
Yeah, I think that's very much live in this main event. And man, putting the Japanese on the map. You know what I mean? These lighter fighters, they seem to have it all done. Like Iowa Inoue, I think Junto Nakatani even fights this weekend. So Japanese fighters, man, at the lighter weight classes are something serious. And we, like you said, may very well be seeing a future champion in Tatsuro Taira.
Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, from what I've seen from this guy, and like you said, him being inside the distance is actually a safe bet. He could find a way to dominate ground positions and get the TKO with the ground and pound finish. So I think both are very much live. And if he does go to distance, it just proves that he has a gas tank, especially if he wins unanimously. If he wins decisively, dominantly, I mean, I think after a win against Brandon Royval, it leaves no doubt any which way you cut it.
He goes out there and finishes the number one guy. He will fight Pantoja next, maybe early next year. And I think he could get Pantoja some problems, kid. I really do. We think the most high of Alexander Pantoja, the champ, but this guy is serious, man. And everyone I talk to, not just you, all the community we've built in the MMA Twitter, everyone thinks Tatsuro Taira could be a champ. So I'm
very happy.
Hopefully he cuts a hell of a promo as well.
That's right.
But, yeah, like I said, man, ESPN on 4 o'clock, the prelims start, 7 p.m. on ESPN will the main card go down. Headlined by Brian Royval and Tatsuro Taira in that flyweight division. They'll be flying, all right. Let's get over to boxing in one of the biggest cards to date. In the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we got Arthur Beterbiev taking on Dimitri Bivol. the press conference was pretty good. You know, they
Yeah.
were going at each other. Even Eddie Hearn was getting involved a
The
little bit.
translators seemed like they started getting hot at each
Yeah,
other.
they were getting, everyone was getting frustrated. I can't wait. You even saw, I know he's not on the card, but you know, you even saw Chris Eubanks and was it Jamie Penn or
Well, we're supposed to see Shakur Stevenson fight Joe Cordina.
yeah, no, but they had that rivalry in the hallway. It was Eubanks. Who does he have that
It's not Ben Whitaker. Is it like Nigel Ben? Is it
No,
Chris
no.
Eubanks? Man, I
Chris
know
Chris Banks and Connor Ben. That's who it
Connor
is.
Ben. Okay.
Connor Ben. Yeah, they
You
shoved
sure
each
it's not
other.
Nigel? It's Connor.
No, it's Connor
Okay.
Ben. And
Oh,
Chris
okay.
Eubanks said, "You better fucking win."
Ben.
We'll see. But kid, I'll let you lead it off because I think you might have more plays than me here.
Well, I like the card. You know, I'm actually, I think lock and step with you as we've been all episode. I have our girl Sky Nicholson a play for you. If you don't know,
Legend.
I mean, if you really don't know how to approach her fights, I don't know what to tell you. If I haven't learned anything by now,
At this point,
at this point, I mean, it's really we're taking Sky Nicholson here. But the way to take her is via decision.
Via
It's most likely
decision.
she's going to win on point. She's too skillful in that ring. She knows how to use her Olympic boxing advantage. She cuts the right angles. It would take a lot of punishment for her to finish her opponents. I don't think she really has that knockout power, as most women do not, but she's just so much more skillful than a lot of the fighters in her weight class. And I mean, she's aiming for the who's who of the division. You can't blame her, especially she puts Raven Chapman to school here. So you got to take Sky Nicholson via decision.
100%. I mean, like Joe said, I don't think you could have said it better. She's not the biggest favorite that we're used to because she's usually minus like 1,000, minus 1,100,
Chapman's
whatever.
undefeated now, and I've
Yeah,
seen
she
her
is.
from her work, but it's just not on the level of Sky Nicholson and what she's
No,
accomplished.
Sky Nicholson is a champ for a reason. We've been
Gold medalist.
gold medalist. We've been covering her for what, over a year now, I want to say. Only one knockout, which I did call.
Yeah, we actually both got that right.
And she called out Raven Chapman. She wanted this fight, and I think she's taken this camp. She understands the magnitude of this card, where it's fight.
She looks to
who's
be in killer
headlining it.
shape and mentally
Yes.
prepared as well.
So yeah, I know it's chalky, but minus 320 I got at Sky Nicholson to win via decision. Maybe you put her in one of your UFC guy
Yeah.
parlays, but yeah, Sky Nicholson will cruise. She'll probably win every fucking round.
Yeah, and I am incorporating him on a parlay, her on a parlay with the main event
Yes.
between Dimitri Bivol, Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. I mean, the other guys on this card are pretty impressive. Ben Whitaker,
Yeah.
you've seen his kind of style, how he fights. It's kind of like the drunk kind of fight. He just throws different angles at you and hits you with the craziest uppercuts that you ever
But to be
seen.
honest, Joe, I was really looking for the New Jersey own Shakur
Stevenson. Yeah, it was a little bit of a letdown him not being on this card. So like we said, a bunch of times earlier this year, we wanted to see him on display in his new, promotion, and so that he would get more notoriety. And with him missing out on one of the biggest cards of the year, it's actually hurting his stock big time, in my opinion.
I'm interested to see who you like because the odds are close here in this main event. Dimitri Bivol minus 125, plus 110. Artur Beterbiev. Interested to see which way you're going, kid. We
Yeah,
haven't talked about it, but who do you got here in the main event?
So, dude, Bivol, he beat Canelo Alvarez. I think that speaks a lot. But Canelo Alvarez compared to Beterbiev, he's a lot smaller. Beterbiev is actually bigger than Bivol. Squared up, he's oversized. Then Bivol's gonna have to use his intelligence in this fight. He's gonna have to be on his bike. I do think so. I think he's going to have to stay away from Artur Beterbiev's power as much as he possibly can because, I mean, there's no faking what Artur Beterbiev is going to try to do here. He's going to try to go in and knock you out. He has 100% KO percentage. So, I mean, I would be a fool to not go with that. I'd be honest with you. I have no choice but to go with precedent, to go with what I've seen and what they've done in their past and what I've seen in the footage and being as closely contested and being that they should have fought plenty of times in their past. It's all leading up to this, and it's leading to a highlight reel knockout from Artur Beterbiev. I think a lot of the public's going with Dimitri Bivol as well. So that's another point. I'll be fading the public in this. I'm going with Artur Beterbiev. I'm going with him via KO TKO, not only just on the money line. I'm confident that his 100% KO streak continues, and he proves no doubt that he should be mentioned in the top echelon of pound for pound fighters. I think with the win over there, especially if he knocks him out, I think there's an argument he could be number one. Now, maybe pump the brakes a little bit on that, but At plus 175, you could take it straight up, but this is a type of play, and they could even take him on the money line. But I just think that the KO TKO is going to happen because I think it is a little bit of that. Or if it gets, you know how boxing get, if it gets to the judges and Bivol starts winning rounds late, you know how Bivol can steal that fight on the scorecard. So what I did, though, I did take the risk. Take the Beterbiev KO TKO at plus 175 and incorporate with Sky Nicholson's via decision at minus 350. With those two odds, the 4 Crown Showdown 2-prop parlay is at plus 254.
I love it. Yeah, good odds there. And like Joe said, you know, you could just take Artur Beterbiev plus 110. He is a dog in the fight, but if you want to take him via KO TKO, plus 175, I see at some books, plus 160, plus 175. It's kind of hovering around. I'll take it away here, Joe. You know, the odds are shaping toward Dimitri Bivol's way, and I think that makes sense considering Artur Beterbiev, 39. He's starting to see his body break down a bit. He's had plenty of injuries too in recent years. He's only fought 3 times since 2022. I'll give you this: Artur Beterbiev has been dominant in those fights, mind you, but in a fight where I think it's nail and nail, tooth and nail. Like, it's so competitive with Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. You're looking at very little things that could determine the fight. Like you said, if he can't knock him out, you're looking at these judges and he might win a round by a punch or 2. You never know. And I agree. I think Dimitri Bivol's chin is going to have to hold up because Artur Beterbiev is going to land. And when he lands, it hurts. I mean, hopefully I never have to witness something like that. Ultimately, I do think the fight comes down to whether or not Dimitri Bivol can use his IQ, his ring IQ, fight IQ, whatever you want to say, to stay off the ropes, out of the corners. Because if he stays put, Artur Beterbiev is gonna play possum with him and he's gonna unload on him. So, given how well Dimitri Bivol has navigated other dangerous fights, like you mentioned, Alvarez, there's reason to think he'll be able to do the same thing, even in a more dangerous opponent in Artur Beterbiev. Might be a trap. I'm going to be a public dog here, but I am going to take Dimitri Bivol here on the money line straight up minus 125. But it wouldn't surprise me, kid. Honestly, it really wouldn't if he put him away.
This
but I do
calendar year of boxing has been something we have not seen before. If you recall everything that we had to witness, I think it would just be icing on the cake if Beterbiev gets a highlight reel knockout against Bivol, and I don't think anyone would expect that. I do think the public and the majority of promoters and fighters are siding with Bivol here. So you're not in the wrong. I do think it's a way higher. I would say it's about a 75% chance that Bivol is going to come out on top in this. I'm just taking what is a dog, and I'm just taking what I'm seeing with that 100%, man. I love my percentages, and I just can't deny something at 100%. It seems like it's inevitable to happen. Just like the Mets at bat, it's inevitable to come back, baby. Other fights, the British heavyweight title is on the line, and then, of course, my guy, Jai Opetaia, he is defending his cruiserweight title, the IBF World Cruiserweight title.
Huge favorite against Jack Massey.
Yeah, you can't really, play these you can't play these cards
unless you parlay them.
Yeah, and Ben Whitaker as well. They're just too massive of a favorite, so you're gonna have to be cooking to get some value out of it.
Honestly, outside of the main event, Sky Nicholson is actually the slowest favorite
I've ever
on the
seen
main
her.
event. Yeah. No, you've seen her, Sky Nicholson.
Exactly.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, so like I said, main card starts at 6, or the main event they said is scheduled to walk out at 6 p.m. Eastern. It all depends how the card breaks down, but around 6:30 Eastern in the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the main event will go down. So I would say around 3:15ish. The main card starts, which
That's
is
fair.
Everyone
should be able to be tuned into everything that starts in the afternoon, even with college football, be able to, watch the main events, and then go right into the UFC and everything after that. I mean, it's going to be,
and it's relatively cheap on the Zone. This boxing card is only $19.99.
That's not bad. No. Yeah, I saw some fight packages even for the next promotion of BKFC. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff, making improvements, and I like what I'm seeing.
Let's be honest, we've seen at Walmart, we've seen at Target, all these stores, TVs are cheap now. You could get a nice 30-40 inch for like $200, $300.
Not even, bro. Walmart's got them for $88 right now.
Go down south, baby. Here we go. Let's go to, like you said, big pay-per-view, hopefully the face. Conor McGregor will be there, but in Spain on the Zone, 1 p.m. Little appetizer before this boxing card. But BKFC, huge, probably the biggest event of the year for them.
Yeah, and probably in their promotion's history. I'll be honest, with number 1 pound for pound Dave Mundell on the card, ex legitimate 4-belt champion Austin Trout in boxing. He made his crossover to bare knuckle, and then you're having a clash of the foreign champions taking on the BKFC champions in the main event for the lightweight championship. So I just think it makes for one of the biggest cards that they've ever put on. So the first fight is a featured bout I'm going to talk about. It's the middleweight championship. Dave Mundell, he's minus 153. If you're going to give me Dave Mundell at that valuable of a price, I'm going to take him. Doug Christie, he fooled me once. Shame on me, or shame on you, right? Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah. So I'm not going to do that with Doug Christie here, because I took him when he should have been the unified European or British champion for BKFC, and he lost to Jared Warren. So like I said, I'm not going to be backing him here. I'm going to be taking the redneck Dave Mundell. And with the win on this fight, he might get it with Mike Perry next, because he's a bigger guy and he's number 1 pound for pound. He seems to be an absolute threat in the ranks of BKFC. So in the welterweight championship next, which is the co-main event, Austin Trout's minus 212. Again, you're going to give me a playable line for Austin Trout, who's got all the experience of the world in boxing. Has fought the who's who of Canelo Alvarez. He's fought everybody, Austin Trout. Taking on Rico Franco, who is undefeated in BKFC, but just hasn't seen that level of competition. And I think he's in for a rude awakening against Austin Trout. So you got to take Austin Trout at a very playable line. And in the main event, it's for the lightweight championship. Franco Tenaglia was the Italian champion. He's actually a favorite here. I'm seeing him minus 183, taking on Tony Loco Soto at plus 136. If you don't know Tony Loco Soto, he's exactly that. He gets in there. He does not care what punishment he takes. He's just in there to deal it. And I just like the value I'm seeing in the main event. At plus money, you're giving me Loco Soto. I'm expecting him to go crazy in there. So give me him as a dog price, plus 136 in the main event. And hey, if you guys, we've been cooking parlays all this episode, I might as well want to throw them all together. What would that be? I got you minus 153. Let's see. We'll do it right now for you guys.
Real question, while you're doing that, do you think, or not do you think, do you know if our boy Big Ben Rothwell is on this card?
No, he's not on the card. No.
Oh, that's
if Ben Rothwell was on the card, he would be featured in the, he'd be a future bout. He'd be the co-main event. He'd be something
That's
big,
what I'm saying. You can't, disrespect him.
No, definitely not. But here's what I have for us. So plus 136, minus 212, and minus 153. If you want to put them all together, that's Soto, Trout, and Mundell. Give you odds of plus 474.
I love it, kid. Thank you so much. I was hoping you would mention Big Ben Rothwell. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I was hoping he showed love to us as well, and especially you. You mentioned him on X as well. But kid, good luck there. Before we get to 10 seconds, I've got some news before we get up out of here. Nursultan Rusaboev, thank you. He's out of his fight at UFC 308 with Raheem Fakhretdinov. Promotion, they're looking for Fakhretdinov to stay on the fight October 26th in Abu Dhabi. Unfortunately, they haven't found one, so it doesn't look like he will stay on the card. Tough blow for a really good card,
Yeah, I wanted to see those two clash. I think that was going to be entertaining. So I think you did right. The UFC did right. Keep those fights together and just try to push it on. Don't reschedule them, because I think it meant a lot for where they're at.
We got a late ad to UFC Edmonton, November 2nd. Jack Shore will take on Youssef Zalal. I think that's a banger of a fight.
Yeah, dude, Jack Shore taking the trip. And I mean, Youssef Zalal, probably doing the same coming from Morocco, right? So
yeah,
a long ways for both these guys going all the way to Edmonton. It's going to be cold in November. They better bring their coats. So I like that fight, though.
Yeah, 100%. And then we have another fight. And kid, I think this is a title eliminator here in the strawweight division, UFC 310 at the end of the year, December 7th. Verna Jandiroba will take on Tatiana Suarez.
Wow.
Really good fight. It's a title eliminator. What do you got here?
Man, we love our girl Tatiana Suarez, but the inactivity just scares me.
Do you think it's gonna hurt her though?
I do.
Look who her boyfriend is. She's in the gym.
Training like crazy, probably.
Come on.
Yeah, man. I just think that the inactivity is worrisome. And it makes that Jandiroba being as active as she has, and she's surging. We talk about momentum. That's the theme to this episode, momentum. I do think people should not sleep on Virna Jandiroba if they're in, favorite with Tatiana Suarez. But the same can be said if those who haven't known Tatiana Suarez being on the shelf for as long as she has been and seen Virna Jandiroba, be careful because Tatiana Suarez also has some capability.
100%. I cannot wait.
That's a great fight.
They should headline this card. And I buried the lead, and rightfully so. But boys and ladies, we have a main event for the biggest card in UFC promotion. UFC Vegas 100, November 9th, 5-round main event. Neil Magny taking on Carlos Paredes.
Paredes. Oh my God.
Main event, 5 rounds. Him headlining UFC 100 is everything I want and more in life. Thank you.
Taxes and Neil Magny by decision.
Oh my God. And if you think I'm fading Neil Magny, you are drunk. You're on something because Neil Magny's winning that fight. UFC 100?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go with Neil Magny via decision. That's a lock. You know he's gonna be a plus $500 already.
God, what a fucking banger! When I saw that yesterday, I said, "Thank you, God."
Yeah,
you've answered all my prayers.
You ever see Animal House when the kid's in this room and then the girl comes through the window? Thank you, God.
That's exactly how I was feeling yesterday when they released this. But shout out Neil Magny. Whatever he's done for the organization, he deserves this.
Absolutely.
He deserves it. So shout out Neil Magny. But kid, Octagon 62 in Frankfurt, Germany tomorrow afternoon on pay-per-view, 12 p.m. noon start time here on the East Coast. What do you got for us?
Yes, sir. Bigger than ever. That's the tagline used for this pay-per-view, Octagon 62, bigger than ever. And they have some interesting fights on this card with not only the women's strawweight title, but the King of Germany belt is on the line as well. I mean, this would be their equivalent to the BMF title. But I'll be using my play on the OK MMA middleweight championship, which is between Patrick Klinkle, who's minus 130. He's been defending the belt about 3 times now, looking to make it a 4th consecutive. But he's taking on Turkish Kareem Angizak. I like Angizak here at plus 130 as a dog. He has never been finished on his feet, and he's done a lot of TKOs, KOs, finishes in his career. And anytime I see a Turkish fighter, I do get a little bias towards them because I do like what they're doing over there. The camps that they have in Turkey through jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and you name it, they bring out some of the best fighters on the planet. And you see them, join the ranks of one. You see them join the ranks of the UFC. And we're going to see a guy who could soon be in either promotion here in Octagon. So, yeah, give me Kareem Angizek at plus 130. I think we're going to have a new champion. So, and new.
I love it so much. Thank you, Joe. Good luck. Like Joe said, huge weekend between Octagon 62, bigger than ever. We got BKFC in Spain. We have the huge boxing card between Dimitri Bivol and Arthur Beterbiev, and obviously UFC Vegas 98. Joe, any last words before we get about it? Oh, by the way, give me your lock real quick. Lock could be anything we talked about, UFC, boxing, anything. Lock of the week. What do you got?
Lock of the week. Let's see. I mean, I could just go easy on you and just take Sky Nicholson. You know what I'm saying?
Don't do it.
That's the coward's way out. No, I think very highly of Tyra. I'm gonna think he's the lock, man. I hate to say it. The line, what we have to do to take him. I just think that he's coming to get that belt, man. And I think we're gonna have a great matchup for the 125-pound division when Pantoja takes on Tatsuro Taira.
My lock of the week, who the hell would I be if I didn't take the Iron Turner, baby? That is it, baby. Good luck. God bless. And we'll see you guys.